Hello and namaste. Welcome to this session. Like we said earlier, this session is about an important aspect of Blender modeling, which is called materials. Now, I had told and I will repeat that materials are something like a covering on top of the actual model. One analogy in day to day life I can tell you is the notebooks of your children when they are covered using the brown paper, probably that could be one of them. In fact, before that the cardboard has a printed sheet already pasted to it, even that is a type of material. If you look at various objects in our day to day life, for example, I have these two cables here. You can see this ribbed texture here, and you can feel the ribbed thing here. This is very smooth and the metal is pretty shiny. Even within the metal you can see the larger portion which is non-shiny, kind of a matte finish, and there is a shiny portion also here. So these are some of the materials you can actually look at, but there is something also beyond this which we are going to cover in the next session, which is called texture. So this kind of smaller differences, for example, this is a leather which you can feel this. You can also see the shininess of the metal here. You can see different types of plastic, which is opaque plastic or transparent plastic at times. If I move it towards the light, you can see the reflection inside this. All this thing can be achieved after you apply materials and set the properties of that material so that it gives out the output what we are trying to achieve from that particular model. And what we are going to see today is how to add a material to the object what you have, how to preview it, whether it is assigned properly or not, what is the color we can choose for it, how to choose the color, how to choose the shininess of that, so how to assign this transparency, so how to have that mirror type of effect in these materials. So we are going to cover different small attributes within material itself, and the next session is going to be about texture, which adds further realism to the model. So let us just start the demo in Blender now and see how we can assign that. Okay, so we are in Blender now, and the file what you see here and which Nitin is going to use for demonstration purpose is already uploaded in the slides tab just next to the video tab. The name of this file is material.blend. Please download that file because we have kept some settings intact there, and then follow the tutorial. You would be able to get maximum output if you use that file. Okay, so let us just start, and I will request Nitin to take us through this demonstration. We have a sphere in between the whole thing, and like usual it looks grey, and I really hate that grey. So let us just change the color of that, and like we said, the way we can add color to this Blender thing is by using materials. By default, every object which is added into Blender scene will have no material, and that is why it would be grey. So in order to do something to that, first select the object by right clicking it. Remember here, because we are only going to talk about the look and feel of the object, orthographic or perspective hardly matters now. Like I have been telling in the earlier sessions that switch to orthographic for better viewing and all that does not apply here. So be at peace, we can be in perspective and we are fine. But the file is by default in camera, and you can see the camera perspective. This is done by Nitin specially so that whenever you render, you will get some good outputs to save on. Okay, so let us just not waste time now, and we have this sphere here. To add the material, the file, if you open, you will see that a spherical icon on the right hand side panel will be open in the properties panel. If you see, it will be highlighted, it will be having a blue background, which means that we are right now in the materials section. Here you will see two boxes, one is an empty huge box rectangle with a plus and a minus sign on the right hand side, and you will also see a small tab below it which will say new. Like I said, there is no material assigned to the model in the beginning, therefore we have to add one. There are two ways. The plus sign on the right hand side will create an empty slot for the material to be added. If you click on that, it will show you that there is a new material there, but it is not assigned yet, it is just empty right now. Unless we press the new button below, it is not going to be assigning a new material. The moment I press new, you see that a material is now assigned. Now this is a material, by the way, and it is everything at default, like the color and the shininess and everything else. We can modify that now. You will also get a small preview window here where you can see how the material is getting applied to it. Remember that this is a default kind of setting, and it is created especially like a studio setting, like you see that whatever is applied you can just preview it there. The first and the foremost, if you ask anybody what change do you want when you see a Blender model, is that I want to change the gray color. The color content of a particular model in Blender is termed as diffuse. So do not get confused, but the word is diffuse. So if you click on that white band which you can see below the word diffuse, you will get a color palette. Now you are free to choose any color you want. Nitin loves blue, so he will go for the blue, and you can see that the model is also reflecting the same choice. We have the blue colored model already, and in the preview you can actually see what is the color. Remember, do not go by the big 3D view here, because this is not the final view. You can get the final view only when you render it. So press F12 and here you get the final rendered image. You would be pleasantly surprised by the output, and the credit goes to Nitin because he has put up the lights in proper position and all that. I suggest you can press F3 and also save this file for all the stages which we are going to do. So for example, in your default directory of Blender, by now you should be having one Blender directory on your computer, I am sure. So I will just put a folder again inside that titled material, and I will say that this is blue, I will just say diffuse.png, because this is where I have just added a color right now, and I will escape to go back to the scene. Now I come back here, you see the next tab. You can also see that the diffuse white band has become blue now, because that is the color we have assigned. Do not bother about other bands in this diffuse section, just go to the next one, which is specular. Specular by definition in Blender is about the shininess of the subject. Now here is the time to make a really shiny pearl out of this particular sphere. So click on that, and here you can select the color of the shine also. It means that whenever the light is put up on this particular object, there would be an area which is highlighted or brightly lit up. We can say that this has to be in a particular color. Now how do you use it? Well, it is up to you, choices are given to you. Now let us put up probably a bright yellow, probably in the specular, and once we click outside the color palette, the palette goes off and you see the specular color as yellow now. You can see it on the preview window that there is a small little lit up area of yellow on the left hand top, but you can also see it in the 3D view window. But to see it clearly, press F12, render it, and now you can see that these two small highlights which were there have turned into yellow, which were there earlier render were white. So you can see that this is happening, although you can't see it in complete intensity of that, and there is an intensity button just below specular. You can modify that and get it, but I leave it to you whether you want to explore it or not. If I put it to 100%, you can immediately see that the yellow becomes really bright now. I would also like to save this particular file and maybe name it as specular. Now this is specular.png, and we save this file. I press escape and come back to the position. You will see a small band transparency with a small arrow beside it. We are going to talk about that, but because the other windows are creating a clutter, I suggest you just click on the arrow next to diffuse and specular, which we are done by now, and also shading, which we are not going to deal with this time, and go directly to transparency. If you click the arrow there, it will open up. Now, transparency, as I said, is about the transparency of that particular object which is selected. Currently it is not activated because the checkbox is not ticked. If I click there, you get a tick there, and now we can talk about transparency. The transparency depends on the alpha level mentioned in this particular tab. You can see this, that is the first tab, and it is 1. 1 means that the object is completely opaque. It cannot pass light through it. The moment we start reducing it, you can see that it will become transparent in the preview window provided on the top. That is where the preview window is of much use to you. Let us just keep it at something like 0.4 and try to render it, and we will see that now it has almost got into a bubble condition, or maybe like a balloon with transparent thing. You can render this, by the way, and because it is rendered, you can save it also and call it transparent or transparency.png, so that we can save it and see it ourselves later on. Transparency.png, we are done. After transparency, I want you to understand the mirror effect, because that particular reflectivity is very interesting to see. But before we apply mirror, we need to just undo the transparency part. So just take out that tick mark, and then there is no transparency applied now, and let us go to the next tab, which is mirror, and create a tick mark there. By the way, you can have both at the same time. We are just doing it so that you can see it very clearly how mirroring can be applied. We are here at mirror now, and the moment you tick mark, all the options become active. It is very plain English option right now. Reflectivity is what we are actually looking at. It is at 0 right now, which means that it is not reflecting anything. The moment we increase it, it will start reflecting, and it can go up to maximum of 1, where it will be 100% reflective. So if you make it 100% reflective, you can see in preview that the entire backdrop is now getting reflected in that ball, and it looks like a maze now suddenly. So if I put maybe reflectivity not to 1 but slightly lesser than that, probably around 4, and let us just render it. The moment we render, you can see that the ground on which this particular sphere is kept is reflecting inside, and you see very interesting images of that. So you can save this file also as mirror.png, so that we can check out for ourselves what are the different types of material options we have tried so far. So we tried changing the color, we tried changing the highlight color, we changed the transparency or the alpha level, and we have now also tried the particular reflectivity of that particular object. So this is how we have checked out on materials.